when I was 14, another missionary had come to my other church, which at that point now was an Assembly of God church in Moses Lake. The youth ministry there I had gotten plugged in with. They had an amazing program there for youth. And so I got plugged in, and that missionary had shared a similar story, different place she'd lived, but a similar story of just God's heart, his ministry, how we could be a part of that. And at that point, she had asked, and she had to ask 3 times. She said, there's somebody here that's called in the full-time ministry. And my heart leaped, and I knew it was me. But I didn't stand, and no one stood. She said it was one person. And I waited for someone to stand. No one did. By the 3rd time, I felt my legs trembling, and I knew that was me. And I came up. She prayed over me, called into full-time ministry. And at that point, I didn't know what it would look like. I just knew that I wanted to preach the gospel, disciple people, and love people. And I think those are the 3 core things for any minister of the gospel of Jesus, no matter who you are, what denomination, because I've been in 2 different denominations. Yeah. I'm a part of non-denomination networks. And if you can keep that the focus point in pastoring, I think it doesn't matter if it's youth, kids, adults, whatever season you're in, to be able to do that is important. So that's kind of my ministry. I served at New Life Church in Renton, which is my home church, for 18 years. Wow. Been my home church. After I was 18, I moved to New Life, interned there, and then went to Northwest University where I got my degree, and now I'm going to get my master's degree as well. And did 15 years of full-time youth ministry at New Life in Renton. And now that I'm doing this job, it's just our local church. So I still go there twice a month with all my traveling with my family. So yeah, a little bit about me. I'm married to Kaylee, 11 years, and we have twins, Kingston and Kinley. They're 11 years old, and they're going to be in 6th grade this fall. So the youth ministry is even more than ever important to me. And then we have a 4-year-old daughter, Evelyn. So yeah.
Cool. Thank you. I forgot to ask, did Shoop say anything about a time frame, or how long do you have?
Yeah, I got time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I say looking for maybe like 30 minutes.
That's great.
You got that? Okay. My next question would be, what have been the 3 most difficult challenges that you've faced in ministry?
Oh, 3. So first one, this is on the spot, so what comes to mind? The hardest person to lead is yourself. The hardest person to pastor is yourself. So I think that could be one of the most challenging things. There are expectations people have of you as a pastor and a minister of the gospel. Think about those expectations. And everyone's expectations may look different to what they need or sense they need in a pastor. And so I think you got to first really learn to lead yourself, to be at the heart of God, to remember the same Jesus you needed when you got saved is the same Jesus you need now, and to walk humbly before the Lord. That can be a challenge sometimes. So I think that was probably a surprise. I think the second challenge would be the leading people. Was it the 3 main challenges? Ministry's people. People aren't a challenge, but ministry's messy, and people's lives are messy. And so you walk with all sorts of backgrounds, faith journeys, experiences, family dynamics. Just all sorts of things when you're pastoring people, grieving with people in their lowest moment. You can celebrate a marriage, and then in that same marriage, you can celebrate a loss with them and bury their dad. And so there's all that. So I think the challenge is just not only leading yourself, but then leading people. That can be a challenge. And so you need high emotional intelligence, not just a high IQ, I would say. In ministry, you don't necessarily need a high IQ. It's good to have one, but if you don't have one, that's fine. God utilizes everybody's life. But the emotional intelligence is huge. And then the third most challenging part is probably just processing grief with people correctly, even in your own personal life. I was just talking to my brother Mitch. He's in the Navy, and he's an officer. I think he's a commander, actually. That's a big difference, but I think he's a commander. And so he serves people. Yeah. So he's not a pastor, but he serves people, pastors, and he had a loss recently, a couple different losses where he was at funerals and doing the whole flag thing that he would do and help and facilitate and walking with families. And me had a great conversation because he had to process that too. It's not just a job. So I think the greatest challenge too is just making sure and maybe that's leading yourself a little bit, but making sure you're processing correctly. And so that kind of goes with number one. So even like a bonus here would be just even your working relationship, not just with people like congregation, but even as a team. So if you're at a small church, large church, there's probably someone you're working with, a board, elders, an administrator, admin. And just that's a challenge, is working with people and the gift mixes that different people have, and to see that as a gift, because they are, even though they're different than your gifts, and your weaknesses may be their strengths. So when you can collaborate like that, it can be a challenge to collaborate, but unity, we have to fight for it in the church. And it starts with leadership, because that's where God is in unity in our local church. And they'll know you are my disciples by what? By your love for one another.
Yeah.
So that can be a challenge, though.
Yeah, it can be. Thank you. Next one, what has been the most rewarding thing that you've seen?
Oh, the most rewarding thing is I was just at a student's business. He's 29 now. He was my first small group at New Life when I was 18. He was a 6th grade student. He loves Jesus with all of his heart. He attends the local church. And he owns a business, and he's franchising, and it's great. His business is very successful. As a friend, because he's become a friend, that age gap becomes not as wide when you grow up together there at 18, and he's in 6th grade. But as a friend, I celebrate with how successful he is in business at the young age he is, and the legacy he's leaving on that end. But more than that, as his pastor, he's a disciple of Jesus. And to see a kid from 6th grade who lost his father as a 19-year-old, who he's very close to, just a freak accident, but to watch his faith edge through all that and go through that. He went to Pepperdine and got his legal law degree. So that's great. And then the saddest thing, which you didn't ask me, maybe that was the next question, but I think it has to go hand in hand. It's together, is the kids that don't seem like, they've lost their life. I've had to bury kids, and they weren't serving God. And it puts knots in your stomach the rest of your life, I think, when you think of their names, or just kids who seem to just walk away completely. You've poured so much time and energy to, but then you remember it's not about you. God's asked you to serve people and disciple them. At the end of the day, they decide how that looks in their lives. And sometimes it's not the deal of losing someone that walks away from their faith. Sometimes it's even just maybe they stop attending the community and the faith community you're in, or your church. And you can't take that to heart or personal, because everyone's got a faith journey. And that can be one of the hardest parts. But